called.
NBA was founded in 1946, 47 years ago tomorrow on June 6th. NBA's own D-Day. And here, the battle, the war for the West. Kevin Johnson, as Magic Johnson indicated, NBA Showtime, he is critical to penetration. Chambers starting his first game of these playoffs into Mark West, and West, who scored only 3 points total in the last 2 games, gets the first basket. At the other end, it'll be Pierce with Perkins out high. He's been their top 3-point shooter. McKee working on Chambers. Perkins ties it at 2. Left-hander acquired from the Los Angeles Lakers at midseason has been critical to the Sonics' growing success.
The critical part right there, Dick, is can they force turnovers? Can they force quick shots so that the Sonics can get in transition, because that's where they're the most effective.
Barkley way off on a wide-open 12-footer.
They're going to try to attack Tom Chambers right at the outset of this ball game. Chambers is a force offensively, but if you can get him down, that neutralizes his size. That will bring Dumas back off the bench. Derek McKee can be a very forceful player against both of them.
So Chambers matching his 6'10 against McKee, but doesn't have the quickness, and there's almost a turnover. Can it be saved? No, Barkley! Sir Charles hustles for his first points.
That play seemed to develop in slow motion, and the only one with any speed was Barkley. He ended up with a deuce.
Shawn Kemp gets his first touch. He's well off. Barkley rebounds. The leader on the season, cleaning the boards, and so it has been in the playoffs ahead to Kevin Johnson. And it's out of bounds. Did it touch Kevin Johnson? Was out of bounds? No.
You'll see that slow motion effort by Derek McKee. Out of nowhere, sprints Barkley, and once he's got possession of the ball, it's an easy 2 over the top.
Chambers, an excellent shooter at all ranges. Kevin Johnson jumping into Payton will draw the foul. And to the line will go number 7 in game 7. Or they get Kevin Johnson.
One of the keys for the Sonics is to stay close early. The Phoenix Suns are the best front-running team in the NBA, and if they can get up and get up big in the first quarter, it's going to be difficult for the Sonics to catch up.
Phoenix with a 3-point lead early on the series. Kevin Johnson, his numbers down a little. Remember, at the start of the playoffs, he did not play in game 1 against the Lakers because of a knee injury, and has been recovering in full health now, but wore a knee bandage throughout the Lakers series. Kevin Johnson on Gary Payton.
When Seattle has had success, it's been going inside first and then coming back outside.
Payton, his 20-footer comes out to Perkins. Kemp and Chambers go down. Perkins for 3. Kemp. Can he save? No. Johnson, 3-on-1 to Majerle. Blocked by Perkins. Pierce goes the other end to McKee. Sonics cold. Just 2 points in the first 2.5 minutes. Johnson. Rebound West. Chambers to Barkley. Loses it out of bounds to Seattle, and Charles can't believe it. Derek McKee, and the foul goes against Seattle. McKee on the charge.
Those are the kinds of calls that will give the Phoenix Suns an edge. Derek McKee obviously feeling he can go off the dribble at any time against Tom Chambers. You see an angry Charles Barkley, and what he is trying to do is keep the emotion of his team up and keep the pressure on the official.
Well, coaches talk about fouls to give. He says, I got a technical to give. It takes 2. Tom Chambers from outside the arc, and Phoenix jumps out to an early 7-point lead.
The Sonics have always been in a state of flux in the half-court game, and right now they're in state of fog. Let's see if they take advantage of a mismatch.
Ricky Pierce can't drop the three-point try, and it's out of bounds to Phoenix. Kevin Johnson, and no whistle.
The Suns for years have been considered a soft finesse team until the arrival of Barkley. So we'll find out whether the Suns, who have an advantage right now and got an aggressive start, will be able to keep the Sonics from getting inside, get something cheap.
Kevin Johnson gets 1 out of 2, and Perkins with a rebound, an 8-point lead for Phoenix. And in 3.5 minutes, the Suns have made only 1 of 6 shots. The Sonics 1 out of 6, and Derek McKee is short. Kemp gets the long rebound. Payton well short. Some shooting elbows out there for Seattle.
Well, you have to remember who's shooting the basketball. McKee is not good from deep. Gary Payton, who had a terrific game in Game 5, struggles from the perimeter as well. He picks up his second personal foul and is not happy with the call. And all of the calls going against the Seattle SuperSonics here early. Backpedaling. Oh, if it's a touch too much, and that's what Payton is saying.
Johnson was well off on the shot, and Payton seemed to have a pretty good argument based on that angle.
In Game 3, this is the kind of officiating that took the aggressive play away from the Sonics, and they struggled. They eventually made one big run, but never really could overcome it. That was one of their concerns approaching Game 7.
11-2 Phoenix. Eddie Johnson in for Derek McKee. We'll see how long George Karl stays with Gary Payton with his 2 fouls.
You can see right now there's some confusion as to what they want to run, and they're not sure how to get a shot. They're ended up against the shot clock deep out on the floor.
Underneath is Shawn Kemp fouled. And we'll go to the line, a chance to bite into that 10-point Phoenix advantage. Kevin Johnson with his first foul.
You hear the talk about being patient offensively a lot of times, but that means you also have an idea of what you want to do. Many times in a half-court set, the Sonics are waiting for something to evolve, and at the last second, they're hoping someone will make a play, as Shawn Kemp just did.
Kemp, who has had a terrific series, averaging 21 a game and nearly 10 rebounds. Above his season marks. 12-4 with 7:41 to go in this opening quarter, and the long pass to West, and he drills it in. 4 points for West. That's about his average in the entire playoffs.
Now they're throwing the ball ahead so that the Sonics don't get a chance to trap Kevin Johnson.
Payton takes it in.
Nice drive.
First points for the point guard of the Sonics.
What the Sonics have to remember is that Phoenix will let you back in a game. They will let you score, but you also got to defend at your end of the floor.
Majerle takes it inside and scores. Majerle's first points. 7 minutes to go in the quarter. 10-point Phoenix lead. Barkley on Kemp.
Kemp is waiting for the double team.
Ricky Pierce is short. And it goes over the top to Phoenix. Sonics shots are short here in the first quarter. They're 2 for 10. Meanwhile, all the Phoenix starters have scored for Paul Westphal. That's always a good sign. Everyone gets on the board early.
See that they have changed their attack and who's bringing the ball up. They get a turnover this time from Kemp.
Kemp took it away from Barkley. Payton into Perkins. Oh, tough shot by Perkins as he was going down. Loops that one home.
The Sonics have to have a real aggressive defense. Barkley takes his eye off the ball. It pops right into the hands of Shawn Kemp. And Sam Perkins, who likes to work down in the post as well as go outside, with a real tough chance It goes in now. Maybe that three-point play that will give them the spark.
Majerle committed the foul. Perkins the three-point play, and the Phoenix lead cut to 7. 6:22 left in the quarter.
And what Majerle is doing will also wear down Ricky Pierce. Pierce does not like to come out and challenge long distance.
Barkley unable to connect. Shawn Kemp up with a hard hit the sidelines as he skidded his foot, hit the sideline, out of bounds to Phoenix.
You see the slide and foot, and he never really got under control. They lose a golden chance. As Barkley missed that shot right at the rim, and after he missed, Kevin Johnson jumped in his face and said, "You got to knock those down."
Payton putting the pressure on, and the man who leads all players in steals in the playoffs has another. Gary Payton. Eddie Johnson. That was a two-pointer, and Majerle rebounds. Here come the Suns, leading by 7. 5.5 to go, opening quarter. Majerle. Who had a big 34-point game the last home encounter here in Phoenix, game 5, including the NBA playoff record-setting 8 for 10 from three-point range.
See players' chest breathing very deeply on both sides, but it's the Phoenix Suns who have been the aggressors that are shooting the ball better. They've got the types of shots they want. Let's see if they can establish an inside game through Sam Perkins.
Perkins, a tough fadeaway, and Perkins has 7 of the Sonics points to lead the way.
They switch, and they're trying to get the ball into Mark West.
And he is fouled. West, not a good free throw shooter, just under 52% on the regular season. So West has 5 points. He had 2 in game 6, and he had 1 in game 5. So that's good news for Phoenix fans.
See what happens with Eddie Johnson. He walked around like he's got the hot hand. The first time he shot the ball, he liked the way it felt.
And that's exactly where they go, to the veteran Johnson from Illinois, his first points. Out of bounds, George Karl campaigning for a Seattle ball, but that's not the way it goes. Barkley helps out in the backcourt, and Payton almost with a steal.
Now, Payton has been very aggressive defensively and made some good plays, forces a turnover and a mistake from Kevin Johnson.
4 turnovers now forced by the Sonics, who led the league in the regular year. Turnovers forced and in steals. Johnson on Chambers.
Trying to give Kemp a chance to go one-on-one against Barkley.
And he throws it in. 4 points for Shawn Kemp. It's a 4-point game. Phoenix had led by as much as 10.
Mismatch out there at their end of the floor is Tom Chambers against Eddie Johnson, and they go right to it, and Eddie Johnson picks up the personal.
Johnson 3 inches shorter. Chambers to the line, 1 in the penalty. Chambers, who has had 80 games of playoff experience and averaging 19 points a game. Back to
Chambers had 11 points in game 5, and all of those were critical to them winning. Tonight, this afternoon, he is starting. A lane violation.
Right.
On
Hey,
the Sonics.
get this over here?
Nate McMillan. Shawn Kemp on the sidelines for the first time, and Perkins rainbows in another. He has 9 points in the quarter.
Shawn Kemp had blood on him, and that may be what that call was. And instead of a lane violation, he had to come out of the game. Michael Cage came in. Mismatch, Pierce against Chambers.
Inside to West, partially blocked by Michael Cage. Perkins has the hot hand, doesn't hit that one. Eddie Johnson on the follow. Johnson's cold shooting throughout the playoffs continues in this quarter. Barkley on the rumble and a foul. McMillan reaching in.
Both teams want pace in the game, and pace favors Kevin Johnson and Charles Barkley, knowing that Barkley is coming. McMillan doesn't want him to get in where he can get a chance to get a three-point play. Will put Barkley on the line for the first time.
Shawn Kemp apparently had a scratch on his right shin, and there was blood, and of course NBA rules dictate that he must immediately be sent to the bench for repairs. Barkley is in his 7th NBA playoff. Philadelphia's loss, certainly Phoenix's gain, and he seems to be a very happy man here, and he predicted a big game today from Sir Charles. Will it be the 43 level or the 13 that he scored in Game 6? He misses both free throws. It remains a 4-point game.
The Sonics have clawed their way back in it. Perkins has been the guy that has steadied the ship. We will find out whether they continue to go through Sam Perkins.
McMillan goes inside and is rejected. Marley breaks out with Barkley. Seattle hustling back. Kevin Johnson. And West is fouled. Michael Cage, his first. Just under 3 minutes left in the opening period. Phoenix by 4. So far, the foul totals 9 called against Seattle, 3 against Phoenix.
Composure is the real key for the Sonics at this stage. They got to know that they can play through these rough patches when they're not getting the calls and still come back and stay in the game. They got as close as 4. The free throw line is pushing the lead right now.
Sabalas, number 23, worn by Danny Ainge. Sabalas' year is over, a fractured bone in the foot. There's a young man who scored 8 points in 4 minutes in Seattle at the start of the second half and then suffered the fractured foot. Inside to Johnson in a crowd, and it's stolen by Ainge. And apparently
3-second violation.
Phoenix enjoying
in all the other games, they ran someone at Kevin Johnson. So far, they've allowed Kevin to go where he wants. He wants him to clear out because he had Eddie Johnson on him in a switch. Still has Eddie on.
Kevin Johnson makes it a 10-point lead. That matches the Suns' biggest margin. Eddie Johnson inside to score. He has 4. And a minute to go in this opening quarter. 8-point Phoenix advantage. Despite Charles Barkley scoring only 2 points.
Now they've got the +7 from Mark West, and that's a huge bonus, and he's at the rim again.
9 points for West, whose high this year was 16. And McMillan fouled by West.
What George Karl is trying to do is keep Kevin Johnson from penetrating. He finds the seam, the help comes, but there's Mark West for the easy 2. So they've got to be able to push Kevin Johnson backwards. They haven't done it in the first period. They're down 10.
Johnson called for that foul, reaching in, and that's 2 on him. Nate McMillan with his first point. McMillan, part of that supercharged defensive backcourt for the SuperSonics. McMillan and Payton, perhaps the best defensive pair in the league.
They are great defenders, and the only way that Nate McMillan really scores is if he gets an open opportunity or goes to the rim. He's shooting below 30% for the series. They need some offensive punch to go along with the defensive energy.
Phoenix with the ball. 1 minute to go in the quarter, a 9-point lead. Ainge to Johnson. Eddie Johnson rebounding for Seattle, a 3-on-2. And McMillan has it knocked away by Phoenix, out of bounds to Seattle.
How do you not go to Shawn Kemp on this play? You know this is thrown down. He decides to try to give it to Nate. Actually, that ball should have come back to the Phoenix Suns. so you can't make calls.
Seattle not as yet enjoying the penalty as Shawn Kemp, backed by rookie Oliver Miller. Kemp gets it back. Cage the rebound, a new 24.
You got a mismatch with Eddie Johnson against Frank Johnson if they can get him the ball.
They do. And he throws in a tough 5-footer off the left side. 6 points for Eddie. And a whistle after the basket. Mathis has called a foul. Oliver Miller, a technical foul.
Said he threw an elbow.
So Eddie Johnson will go to the line. Johnson, the third best free throw shooter in the league this year. Mark Price led the way, and Denver's Chris Jackson was second. Johnson hit 91% plus. So Miller with a wild elbow.
Oliver Miller in the contact right there. Now he goes back up and a little pork chop. Not a flagrant effort, but just to get him off of him. You can see Charles Barkley saying, not now.
Mark West goes after Phoenix, and Dan Marley returns. Gibson Askew makes his first appearance for Seattle. About a 3-second difference in the shot and game clocks here. Final seconds of the first period. Barkley with 6. Has his 4th point. 6.5 seconds for Seattle.
The Sonics should at least be able to get the ball in the air if they're aware of the shot clock.
McMillan, a 3-pointer, and he hits it at the buzzer. A big bomb from Miller. McMillan, rather, and at the end of the quarter, that cuts the Phoenix lead once at 10 to half at about 31-26. Mark West, a surprise on the production end. Deciding Game 7 in the West. The winner will try to deny the Bulls from the three-peat. McMillan forcing it inside. Michael Cage. Long range for Cage. He had trying to beat that 24-second clock. Oliver Miller clears the Ainge. Barkley.
Control Charles Barkley. They've had him shooting out on the perimeter. What that allows the Sonics to do is get in their transition game. Well, let's see if they have an idea where they want to score. McMillan.
Former North Carolina State star has 6 points. A 3-point game, 11 to go in the first half. Chambers inside. Barkley follows. A half dozen for Barkley.
Now this is a guy that's got to take advantage of Chambers when he's out on the floor, and that's Derek McKee.
McKee from outside. His first basket.
This is how they get Charles Barkley to cough up the ball. They send someone right to him near turnover.
10 on the shot clock. Ainge to Miller. Miller going to throw that one up blindly, and it's against the Phoenix Suns.
Well, he heard Charles Barkley say, get it up, because Barkley had seen the shot clock running down. He felt he had good rebound position, would be able to catch it and go back up, but it bounced over his head. Miller picks up his first personal.
Well, here come the Sonics with 10 minutes to go in the half. They're down by only 3. McKee left alone and drains it. 2 in a row for Derek McKee. 33-32 Phoenix.
Trying to post Barkley. Now Kemp is supposed to come to force him to give the ball up. He finally arrived.
Chambers fires, and it'll go out of bounds to Seattle. Phoenix running into a cold stretch after leading by 10 with less than 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Elkhart, Indiana's Shawn Kemp that did not go to college, right to the NBA at age 19, and it has been a hurry-up education for him, and seems to be learning his lessons very well. 7 to go in the half. Phoenix looking for a tie on this trip. Seattle out shooting the Suns considerably here in the second quarter. Barkley.
Well, the Suns lost their aggressiveness, and they're now trying to get it back by going through Charles Barkley. At the offensive end, they stalled. They became a perimeter team.
Tied at 37. Barkley now with 10 to lead all scorers. Askew to Payton. Blocked by West, and Barkley recovers.
That was a huge block because Payton was right at the well on a perfect play, give and go.
Ainge for three. The veteran Danny Ainge, who has been in the NBA Finals 5 of the last 8 years. He now has 5. Here at the America West, trying to spur the home team with a cry defense and a foul on Ainge, his second.
What you want when you face pressure is to give the ball up and have someone go to the hoop, and that's why they have shot blockers. Mark West came out of nowhere to take that hoop away from Gary Payton.
Vincent Askew out, and the Sonics' top scorer, Ricky Pierce, returns. Pierce has not scored, Snacker.
He's off to a real rough start, but we know he can be very explosive. But right now, they're trying to get the ball inside. They call a foul against Shawn Kemp, trying to set a screen for Birkin.
His first foul.
Bringing the ball over, you watch Kemp move. He really didn't get a set screen. Gave him a little bit of the shoulder.
37 Phoenix. Barkley over Kemp. Charles Barkley warming up. He now has a dozen. Now Barkley on the defensive end against Kemp, and Kemp shoots over a man some 6 inches shorter.
I think that's one of the things that Kemp has to realize. He can get that shot against Barkley almost any time he's down on the box.
Barkley. They dared him to shoot it. Instead, it's Majerle for 3. Perkins. Ricky Pierce brings it up.
Pierce likes to challenge in transition.
Through collision, and Majerle picks up the loose ball. Barkley against Payton. Good job by Payton to cut him off.
Step back in and still get the deuce. He's got 10 in the quarter.
Barkley taking charge of the game here in the second period. Derek McKee, former Alabama star, has 6.
The team with the defensive pressure and that's not allowing the ball to move and the bodies to move are the ones that get the advantage. And right now, the Sonics have relaxed. And they're letting the Suns do whatever they want. Ainge with another 3-point shot.
Ainge with a couple of trays and now has 8. Ainge in the regular season shot more 3-pointers than he did 2-point attempts. And Phoenix led the league in most attempted and made. Barkley wincing his first foul.
You only react that way when you're at 5.
Disbelief at his first call.
Little bit of a hand check, but by the time Kemp has gotten away from him, he can't believe the call. That's the reason for the reaction, but he's still got 5 left.
Well, he may have been complaining also of the fact that Seattle has not had A foul called against them the entire quarter, and we've got 3:48 left, and Phoenix whistled for 5, and in the penalty, Kemp at the line.
Even though they're in the penalty, they have been the aggressors to get back on the lead. The Sonics, who were very aggressive in getting back in the ball game, have not really pressured the ball, haven't gotten up, so they're not forcing mistakes. That's the reason that the Suns have been able to get back on top. So it may be a plus and a minus in one way.
Kemp now 5 for 6 from the line, leads Seattle with 11 points. 5-point game.
Barkley.
Backdoor on Shawn Kemp, and Barkley now with 16.
Barkley has been the force that has brought them here, and they're going to ride his shoulders to try to get an advantage. Payton almost fell over.
Ricky Pierce still looking for his first points, and it won't fall. Kemp saves it, knocked away by Ames, and they're going to call a foul on, I believe, Ames or West. They were both reaching. It'll be Ames.
Rule of defense is always know where the ball is, know where your man is. Shawn Kemp got lost, and it was an easy 2 for Charles Barkley. So in order to prevent this play, they needed pressure on the passer. They needed Kemp to be aware of where Barkley was. They failed in both cases.
Ames, always aggressive. Kemp converts, and he's now 6 out of 7 from the line. 12 points for Shawn Kemp. His counterpart Barkley with 4 more in this half. And Barkley rebounds.
To ensure that they don't get Kevin Johnson with the trap, they're letting the off guard bring the ball up.
Barkley hits the side of the board. 2 on 3. Pierce waits for green-shirted help.
Pierce wants to get started.
Still can't hit. And Pierce and Barkley. And it'll go against the veteran from Seattle. Maybe in frustration, he's 0 for 4.
Pierce's strength is at the offensive end. He missed another good, strong drive, and in trying to make a steal, just a little chokehold.
Yeah, I guess there was a foul in there. West at the other end, and a foul against Seattle. There were 3 men surrounding the center of the Suns, and it'll be Shawn Kemp's second. So far, the matchup of stars, Barkley outscoring his younger opponent and out-rebounding, but both having good halves. Barkley, and the key to the entire series for Barkley, you make him shoot outside, you've got a chance. Inside, he rarely misses. He was 11 for 11 2 games ago here in Phoenix. He's 6 for 7 today in the paint, 2 for 5 outside.
Well, the playoffs are about adjustments, and it's Game 7, and the Phoenix Suns have finally figured out a way to make Kevin Johnson a more effective penetrator. That's the reason that Mark West ends up getting that hoop, because of Kevin Johnson's penetration.
And a technical foul apparently has been whistled against Pierce, who was bumping with the... Oh, wait, now they're changing it. It isn't Pierce. It's Payton and Ainge who were bumping and grinding, and each will draw the technical. So 1 more for either of those 2, and they say goodbye to Game 7. Meanwhile, Mark West in double figures with 11 points in this first half. That is a surprising resource for Phoenix.
In the next 2:20, the Sonics want to reestablish their offensive presence to see if they can get their inside game going. McKee has got Chambers. He can make it happen if he goes on his own.
5 seconds on the shot clock. George Karl Sonics rallying from 10 down, and late in the first quarter took a 4-point lead early here in the second. Now it's Phoenix reclaiming the advantage by 8 as Kevin Johnson gets a hand as he goes out. With a second left, it was Kemp long and out of bounds to Seattle. Last touch by Mark West. New 24 for Payton. Perkins for 2. Sam Perkins quiet after a red-hot first quarter, now has 11.
Now they don't have to worry about penetration. They have to worry about the post-up and whether they'll be able to keep Barkley from getting inside shots.
Veteran Frank Johnson in. This is his first attempt. Derek McKee, 3-on-3. 1:20 to go in the half. Sonics trail by 6. Underneath to Payton, and he's fouled by Chambers. His second. Gary Payton at the line. And Seattle has missed some chances in this first half. Majerle straight. Tough man defensively and has improved his scoring in this his third season. Well, a told story of his taking over 1,000 shots every day all last summer to improve his jump shot.
Bring Kevin Johnson back in. They want to get him for penetration, see if they can set up something on the outside. Oh, looked like a good block
By Perkins, perhaps with a body. Johnson gives Phoenix a 53-46 advantage with a minute to go in the half.
trying to post up Ricky Pierce.
On the shorter Frank Johnson. Eddie Johnson from outside. Nails a 20-footer. He has 9.
Well, that's Eddie Johnson that they have been waiting to arrive this entire playoff. He has shot the ball well here early in the first half.
Kevin Johnson inside, gets it to West, and West is fouled. Mark West, what a story for him. Oh, wait a minute, offensive foul is the call. Oh, my, a big call. Takes away 2 and gives Seattle the ball.
After Kevin Johnson finds a seam, you see that off arm come out and wipe off Sam Perkins.
Ricky Pierce inside, and that's going to be blocking against Phoenix, and now the fans are really angry. Frank Johnson with a foul, his first.
Pierce is trying to find a way to get off, and really he's got to stay under control. Frank Johnson trying to draw the foul. Pierce goes up, and you can see George Karl's complaint. Charles Barkley got his hand in the net. I should have 2 more.
And Pierce, who has been nearly perfect from the line in this series, 30 out of 32. That's the lead to 4. And it's his first point as Askew returns and Eddie Johnson out. Defense switch. With 24.7 seconds left, almost clock time. Pierce misses only his 3rd of this series.
The Suns should be working for the last shot, and one of the reasons that Askew's in there is to make Kevin Johnson work hard to bring the ball up. Now he'll set up in a 1-4. What he likes to do is come right at you, and if you're Askew, you should be challenging Kevin Johnson.
That count, yes, a call, and Rush calls continuation. Big.
Anytime Kevin Johnson can get you backing up and on your heels, he is a threat. And this time, he gets a rare hook shot to go in. But you can see Askew's backing up. If he's going to control him, he's got to go to him and turn him one way or the other, not let Kevin Johnson dictate the way he should play.
Oh, so much riding on every attempt. Kevin Johnson letting out full emotion, completing that shot and a chance for the 3-point play as he looks for his 12th of this first half. .8 seconds, so Seattle thinking about a quick move for the final shot. And Barkley with a push off, his second. No argument from Charles. yet. So they'll go to the other end, and that's a break for the Sonics.
A huge break. There were 4.8 seconds in. Carl was trying to figure out how he was going to get that last score. He snuck Dana Barros in the ball game in hopes that he might be able to trigger a quick three, and they get a foul, so it's Nate McMillan, or is it Sam Perkins who will come to the line? Perkins.
Perkins with 2 shots and a chance to carve the Phoenix lead to 4 at the break. Conversation between the officials, Messrs. Rush, Mathis, and Bavetta. They seem to agree. They like Courier tomorrow to win his 3rd straight French Open. You'll see that 9 o'clock live from Roland Garros in Paris.
They're going to reset the clock.
Back to 4.8 seconds. Apparently Barkley fouled before the ball came off the rim. Explanation now given to Paul Westphal and Lionel Hollins. Hollins, the assistant of Westphal, a member of the Blazers 1977 NBA championship. And Bill Walton. There's Hollins, an outstanding guard. Tough defensive player he was. 22nd timeout.
1.5 seconds left in the half.
That's 8 of his 12 points from the foul line. Carl sees Barkley go out. Ainge in. So Johnson, 9 out of 10 from the line, and Barros, final fling from midcourt, and that's the end of the first half. I have to go to the NBA championship round. Richard Dumas on the bench, as you saw. Tom Chambers starts the second half. 57-51, the Sonics.
See if the Sonics can take advantage of their inside players and stay inside and create some easier opportunities.
Perkins creating his own shot, and it's rebounded by Majerle. Kevin Johnson, Majerle, Mark West, with Chambers and Barkley for Phoenix. Barkley draws Kemp close, and Perkins, and his first shot of the second half. If there's been a stumble for Barkley in the playoffs, it's been slow third quarters, but he starts out well. Whistle away from the ball. Mark West using a forearm as his second.
You see, Barkley got enough separation with his body to be able to get a good look. He was just about 10 feet away on that jump shot, but that's where you really want to have Barkley, shooting jumpers, not crashing the board, not splitting double team.
Now that foul by West, make it 3 on him. Pierce, hungry for 2, and finally gets it. His first basket of the game, a man who averaged well over 20 in the playoffs thus far. Almost 22.
Well, Pierce didn't really get a lot of shots. He only had 4 shots in the first half, and I think the initial rush at the start of the game where he tired pretty early threw his offensive rhythm off. We'll see if he settled down. Majerle worked him good.
Majerle for 3. Comes out to Payton, and Payton is stolen by Johnson. Pierce had released, but Kevin Johnson quickly intercepts. And it's West locked inside. Barkley gets it back and is fouled. Ricky Pierce was reaching in, and if it's on him, that's number 3.
Gary Payton never played quarterback because he would have lofted that ball, and as Kevin Johnson made the interception, he was able to get all the way down into the heart. Perkins makes the block, but he comes right back to Barkley. He misses the first, and Ricky Pierce asking who?
Looking for his 19th point. Already has 10 rebounds. And after missing his first 2 free throws in the first half, it's that one.
Barkley has vowed not to let the Suns lose. And true to his word so far, he's at least kept them on the lead. When they've gotten behind, he's been the guy that demanded the attention.
Well, you can just put that in capital letters when you say go-to guy. That's Barkley. McKee against Chambers. Reach in, steal by Johnson. And he tears down court. That was Mark West with the interception. Phoenix getting some extra chances with their quick hands. Barkley to Majerle, and he's fouled by Kemp. Shawn Kemp, number 3. Mark West is the man who made the play.
West has been a thorn in the side of the Suns, but a bigger thorn has been Barkley, and he was able to get away from the double team and find Majerle. Kemp picks up his 3rd personal foul. In game 5 here, it was Shawn Kemp, who was huge in the second half. He really was a man possessed, and we'll find out whether he can get energized and keep his team close. Sonics trying to get to a 10-point advantage.
They've got it, and Majerle scores his first point since the Suns have a 10-point lead, and 5.5 minutes into the first quarter was the last time Majerle had scored prior to those 2 free throws.
McKee has to be aggressive with the offensive end.
McKee unable to hit the short shot. Kevin Johnson hurrying into the offensive end. Barkley. And a foul. And Barkley says that's 4 on Kemp. He's usually right.
Penetration again is what breaks down the Sonics, and Barkley's able to get right at the rim. Shawn Kemp with the personal.
4 fouls on his counterpart, Shawn Kemp. Phoenix in charge here in the 3rd by 10. While we were away, George Karl's team down by 16, reminding there's nothing to save as he shouts above the crowd, trying to spur his team. What now will be a major comeback if that could be accomplished. Plenty of time.
There's plenty of time, and they've got to figure out a way to get the ball and score. A turnover and the foul against Pierce, who has just had the worst game of his life here in the biggest game of his life.
5th foul on Pierce.
Pierce tried to enter the ball from a bad angle. Then, in trying to hustle out of the mistake, bumped Barkley out of bounds, but you can see he had no chance, absolutely no chance of making that pass into Shawn Kemp.
And the Suns are killing Seattle at the line. In this 3rd quarter, they're already 8 for 8. Seattle without a free throw.
And the worst part about that, they're in a penalty situation. That means they'll be shooting cheap shots from the line the remainder of the period, so any surge can be broken by free throw opportunity. Pierce down, Nathan filling in.
Chambers is out. Danny Ainge comes in. Richard Dumas yet to play for Phoenix. Barkley now 5 for 7 from the line. to 53. 3rd quarter. This is a 14-2 run to start the 2nd half.
Well, the last time they were in trouble, it was Sam Perkins who kept them steady and got them out. He draws a foul against Oliver Miller. But they have got to move the ball quicker. The Phoenix Suns have become the aggressor, and the Sonics have taken a passive role, and they've got to get back to attacking if they're to get back in the game. They want to cut the lead down to 10 or 8 points by the top of the 4th quarter.
Only 2 points of this 3rd quarter from Ricky Pierce is now on the Pines with 5 fouls. Kemp just does beat Barkley to the ball and bank one in. Well contested, 14 for Kemp.
They need pressure on the ball. They don't need to allow the Suns to get the ball in a position where they want to run their offense. defense, and we'll see if that aggressiveness picks up.
Barkley knowing Kemp has 4 and a whistle away from the ball. Illegal defense called against Gary Payton. That's the first.
They swing the ball to Shawn Kemp. He has to fight Barkley to get it. That's a sign of a team challenging. Then you see Kevin Johnson and Danny Ainge try to squeeze him. So every shot, every effort is being contested right now by the Phoenix Suns.
Kevin Johnson goes out. Didn't seem too happy about being replaced by Frank Johnson. Didn't even give his partner a little pad as they crossed paths. Perkins out on Barkley.
Oliver Miller was wide open and they missed him.
Ainge short. Frank Johnson over the back. The foul is on Frank Johnson, his second. We'll go back to when Kevin Johnson left for Frank Johnson. This was his reaction.
Well, it's good right now. He wants to stay in there while it's good. He had something to do with it, so it's understandable. This is the biggest game of his career, and he wants to make sure that he does something good. Barrows.
Dana Barros, the best three-point shooter, although he didn't get as many from outside the arc as Perkins this year. That's why he's in there. They need some quick points. Eddie Johnson, Barros, Perkins, Kemp, and McMillan on the floor for Seattle.
And the defensive energy of the Sonics has been broken by the lack of offensive efficiency. They pick up a foul against Sam Perkins.
You saw Barkley raise 2 fingers. He knows the foul count on everybody.
That shows you the awareness of Barkley, and that's what you should be thinking as a player. Who the opponent is, what kind of personal foul damage he has, and how to attack him. Right now, the Suns are going to make a living at the free throw line if they don't get more pressure on the basketball, because the inside players are getting too good a position.
You know, Barkley is a very, very bright man. Evidence the other day, someone asked him to read a piece of material that involved strange names, and although he took one look at the copy, about 20 seconds, and rattled it off as if he'd memorized it for a month. I mean, just boom, like that. Wish we were that good.
Well, we just have to do as many commercials as Charles.
No, I guess that he's had some training, and he's draining the free throws. Now 8 for 10 and 26 points.
The half court has always been frustrating for the Sonics, and right now they don't really have an idea how to score.
It goes off. Barkley tried to influence and now gives a big smile. There's a bad pass by Barrows. Tough chance for Eddie Johnson.
8 on the shot clock.
Oh, it goes off Marley and John. Well, that's one of the old tricks. We're talking about the Globetrotters. Threw it off Marley's back, recovered, and hit the 15-footer.
They always say never turn your back to the passer, and Eddie Johnson took advantage of that.
Whoops, down goes Marley. 5 on the shot clock. Turnover. Miller trying to hit Barkley, and Charles said, just cool it now. Hey, nothing too hurried.
That was the best defensive stand the Sonics have had so far. Now they need to come back with a hoop.
6 minutes to go in the third. Perkins for 3. Marley rebounds. And a foul on Eddie Johnson. Eddie saying, let me play. Third on him.
The Sonics are trying to cut into the deficit real quick, and they're trying to get that three-point field goal. There are two-point shots out there for them, and if they take them, and again, one of the problems is you get momentum going your way, as the Phoenix Suns have. You get all of the calls. That was a touch call, and Eddie Johnson sees Dan Marley rewarded for it.
Marley's 7th point. To an 18-point lead.
Barkley will not let Shawn They finally get it into Kemp.
And Majerle took it away from Kemp. And finally, Johnson, and he's hammered by Oliver Miller. 3 seconds on the shot clock. His third.
This is a tough angle to try to enter and lob over the top of Barkley. Kemp is asking for it, but they don't have a good angle. They finally get it in. The weak side help, and Majerle and Miller come, and Eddie Johnson, he got bailed out as he just picked that ball up and threw it in the air and got fouled.
Johnson with 12 points today. 16 points. The advantage for Phoenix with the ball, and 5:35 left in the third quarter.
And still, the Sonics have a chance to get back in this game, but they're going to have to make the Suns a perimeter team at this point for the next 5 minutes. They've got to see this team work against the clock and shoot the ball over the top.
Barkley wanted it. Comes out to Barros. Eddie Johnson inside, and a foul. That one's going to be on Barkley. His third.
The best thing about the NBA is if you're down, you still have a chance to get back in the game. The ball's going to be turned over every 24 seconds or less. And if you use your head and you find someone that can score the ball for you, you can get back in it by playing smart. Kevin Johnson back in the ball game as Paul Westphal does not want his team to stand around out on the perimeter. Eddie Johnson feeling it this afternoon.
5 for 5 from the line for Johnson, who has 15. That's his series high. He had 20 against Houston in the semifinals in the West. Back to Barkley. KJ. Ainge. Nails the three. The third of the game by Ainge, who is the all-time playoff leader in NBA history from outside the arc.
If they're going to get the ball to Kemp, they got to go a little bit earlier. Nate McMillan for 2.
Foot was on the line. 4:35 to go in the third. Ainge and Eddie Johnson with another foul. His fourth. Eddie said, yeah, I knew all those whistles. Well, this one was more obvious than a couple others earlier.
He was stuck in a position against Danny Ainge, who's a little bit quicker off the dribble. He wasn't moving his feet, thought he'd be able to get him and get away with the hand check, and it was fairly obvious. Derek McKee is back in the game. This is the guy right here that's got to get the wake-up call. He's only scored 6 points, but he can score and score effectively and make plays for other people against the small lineup that they have out on the floor, and we'll see if Casper arrives.
McKee's nicknamed Casper because sometimes he is invisible. He disappears, has 6 points today. Ainge, who knows the thrill of an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics, playing his part. He's 3 for 3 from outside the line. Eddie Johnson, 80-65 Phoenix. 17 for Eddie Johnson to lead Seattle. Block is the call against Nate McMillan. McMillan wanted a call against Kevin's front arm. His second.
Kevin Johnson backing up and then initially getting a quick step, and Nate McMillan couldn't recover. An easy call for the official to make, and that is what's going to kill any momentum. Is every foul, the Suns are rewarded with a chance to shoot. 4 minutes left in this quarter.
Johnson adds another point, and the count in that free throw column for Phoenix is going to be most significant today.
All Carl can do is he looks up there at the scoreboard, and the game situation is hope that he gets out of this quarter in reasonably good shape.
Phoenix 36 out of 41 from the line today. In Seattle, half as many free throws made. A miss by McKee. taking full advantage at the line. Eddie Johnson with a quick trigger over range. 19 for him.
Now all Eddie Johnson needs to do is find some friends. First, they've got to get a stop, and if he can just keep scoring and get someone else to come along with him, they can get back in the game. Turnover.
McMillan knocked it away from Kevin Johnson.
Eddie Johnson is begging for the ball. They forgot that his hands are red hot. They get a jump ball.
Perkins tried to call time, but didn't have sole possession. A jump ball call. Danny Ainge down there on his chin, skidding with Perkins. The two men who have been in an NBA final.
And Ainge comes underneath, and Perkins is saying, wait, time out.
Perkins for three, and a big three for Sam, who has 16 in the game. 84-70. Ainge to Miller, he traveled. It was Perkins' defense forced Miller to change his mind.
And Miller was right there. He didn't have to get any closer. He had a cheap shot, tried to dig in and get a little bit closer. Right here is the shot. Now he traveled right there. That's the mistake. That's what the Sonics are looking for. A few mistakes, and now they got to come back to Eddie Johnson.
Phoenix hasn't made many. That's only the 8th turnover. Johnson blocked. There was Barkley coming out to challenge. Miller. And the foul. The third on Nate McMillan.
Eddie Johnson, who feels it, he thought he had a good shot right there. Watch Barkley come to get a piece of that. That's one of the strengths of Barkley, is being able to rise and get the ball after it's released. And then at the other end of the floor, Nate McMillan trying to keep Oliver Miller from throwing it down, picked up the foul.
Miller still looking for his first point. Man who's had an outstanding rookie season, capped by these playoffs, where he's had some starring roles, especially in the opening best-of-5 against the Lakers. He's averaged over 8 points a game, over 5 rebounds, and he's had more blocks than any Phoenix Sun, though a reserve. His first point, Phoenix by 15. Just over 2 minutes to go in the third.
This is the guy, and he feels like he can score every time he gets it.
And he is. Eddie Johnson with 21. His top playoff game against Phoenix. 8 for 11 shooting for the 12-year veteran Johnson, who makes his home here in Phoenix. Kevin Johnson to Ainge for three. It's his first miss in the key rebounds.
They got numbers. Let's see if they can get a hoop.
Eddie Johnson doesn't wait for help, but misses everything with a shot. Majerle. And a whistle. It'll go against Phoenix. Barkley with a push has his fourth.
They give the foul to Danny Ainge.
Well, Ainge with 4.
And of course, Ainge will gladly accept that because that keeps Barkley out of trouble.
One of those neighborhood fouls that you see at this stage of a game.
You'll see the block there. Right there. I don't know how did Danny Ainge get that call, but fortunately he picked it up. Barkley was the guy. Eddie Johnson with 2 more. He has got 14 in the quarter.
And he's pulled Seattle within 11. So by the end of the quarter, if they can be in single, that's another foul against Seattle. McMillan for blocking.
And they've been in the penalty since about the 8-minute mark.
Well, Phoenix taking full advantage, shooting free throws extraordinarily well, and they've had plenty of chances.
Looking for Eddie Johnson.
He wants it. He's got it. What a third quarter for Johnson, now with 25. 16 in the period.
He's providing that perimeter shooting that Ricky Pierce had given him in all the other games, and Eddie hadn't. He finally is plugged in, and he's in the zone like Dan Majerle was in Game 5.
They run 3 men at Barkley, so 2 Suns were open, one of them Majerle, and Frank Johnson from the side is short. Nate McMillan. And in the final minute of the third, Seattle indeed has a chance to carve it down to a 9-point deficit. And it's Johnson with a hanger. Oh, my. What a period for the veteran.
Eddie with 18 in the quarter.
9-point lead, Phoenix. Marley for three. Oh, that's a big one. Marley, just when Seattle's starting to feel it, Marley drives home his first tray of the game.
Eddie Johnson is chasing that ball right now. He's parked on the other side, but he wants to get his hands on it.
McMillan resets. Way short. Barkley with a rebound. Plenty of time for Phoenix. 8 seconds, and now a foul. And Payton and Barkley exchange words. And there are not pleasantries.
Barkley is telling him, you fouled me. And plus he's telling him you're too little to come over and talk on my shoulder.
Well, there is that as well, isn't there? Well, Barkley back at the free throw line looking for 29 or 30.
Remember when Tom Hammond told us that George Karl wanted his team to play smart. And as they got that surge, they allowed Marley to be open. He knocks down a three. Then they miss a shot. Wrong guy shooting. And they compound it by fouling Barkley, who has scored very, very well at the line this afternoon.
He'd made 10 straight prior to that miss. He's 10 for 13 in the game.
Sonics have a chance to get one more shot up quickly.
13-point Phoenix lead. 5 seconds. Payton takes it hard to the hole and scores. Only his 5th point of the game. Kevin Johnson. And that is the end of the third quarter. One that started in a most exciting manner for these fans as Phoenix outscored the Sonics 12-2. Charles Barkley with 29 in the game.
Knowing that they still have a chance to play, let's see if the Sonics can get some defensive energy, start making the Suns become a perimeter team, and then score the ball to get back in this one. They're within contact now with 12 minutes to play.
Chambers, partially blocked, and it comes right back to Chambers. Look at Barkley fight for the rebound. How a man at only 6'4.5" can have such great timing, position, energy, out-rebound men half a foot taller consistently.
He has strength and he has explosiveness that nobody at that size has had. Chambers knocked out of bounds.
Barkley against Askew, and a foul.
The only way that they can help Askew with this matchup is to pressure the basketball so that they cannot spot Barkley. That's a second team foul. We haven't played a minute yet, and they could end up with another quarter in which the Phoenix Suns get to the line. The last quarter they were 24-26.
26, that would come out over 100 free throws a game throw rating. Frank Johnson is short. Chambers saves, another chance. Marley. Third chance, and finally Payton with a rebound for Seattle. Inside to Askew. Barkley not as yet down court. Askew scores, and he's fouled by Chambers. And that puts Seattle in single digits in there.
You always look for a single defining moment that may say that momentum has swung. There were 4 possessions in which the Suns did not get a hoop. And in their first one, Askew, who picked up 2 quick personal fouls, comes back and draws a foul on Tom Chambers, has a chance for a 3-point play.
Askew's first points, he played for George Karl, Albany in the CBA. He was the most valuable player in the Continental League. So it's 91-82. Phoenix with 10 and a half to go. So goes to Chicago. Out. Seattle finally clears. It's Askew. And Kevin Johnson took it away cleanly. to Frank Johnson. And Nate McMillan with a block. 5 on McMillan. Timeout Seattle. Under 10 to go. And it's Phoenix by 11.
Eddie Johnson was the guy that got him in a position, and he's still trying to force the issue. Gets a foul against Frank Johnson.
Third against Frank Johnson. Here comes Shawn Kemp. He'll be playing with 5 fouls, remember.
Don't ever say that George Karl is not a risk taker. I mean, here you are with 9:49 to go. Eddie Johnson, who's been sizzling, this will bring the game to with either 10 or 9 points. And Kemp is going to come back and play and try to stay out of foul problems.
14 for Shawn Kemp. Meanwhile, Eddie Johnson, picking up the offensive firepower, has 28. A perfect 8 for 8 from the line. And with those 2 free throws, Phoenix now has outscored Seattle by 22 from the line. A 9-point game.
And the Suns have yet to score a field goal here in the fourth quarter, but they've been able to get second shots with offensive rebound.
And that good old foul line. Barkley walking right around Kemp. Tipped in by Chambers. 11 for Chambers, who started today. Shawn Kemp, rebound Barkley. Barkley with 16 boards. They'll go right to Barkley with Kemp with 5. And on whom?
It'll be on Derek McKee, but this is not smart basketball on the part of George Karl. You can't put Kemp on Charles Barkley at this stage knowing you're trying to keep him in the game, and Barkley is the most dominant offensive player out there. They come back with Tom Chambers with a tip after that miss, and then they come back with a post-up. McKee has to come over to give help, and again, we're looking at a possible penalty situation for the Sonics on the next foul. They went in at about 8:50 the last time. It's 9 minutes here in the fourth. You can't catch up if you're going to give up cheap shots.
Sam Perkins returns for the Sonics. Nate McMillan out. And the guess is that Perkins might go on Barkley.
You might go on Barkley, but anybody but Shawn Kemp.
Barkley nails 2 more free throws. He's 13 for 16 and 31 points. Eddie Johnson, Barkley with his 17th rebound.
And he didn't have height enough to finish after he split that double team.
Kemp is now on Chambers. Perkins on Barkley. We'll see if they try to find Chambers. Barkley, he hasn't had a 3. Does now. 100 to 84. Barkley matching his number with 34.
Now they got to come back and take advantage of the fact that they've got McKee inside, and he's going to cause a double team, and they do that with Perkins with a 3.
Sam Perkins with 19. That's his second 3. 8 minutes to go. The Suns 13 points up. Chambers. Barkley again. In the right place to cash in. 36 for him.
Great block by McKee, went for nothing.
And a foul.
Charles Barkley missed the first quarter, but he has shown up since then. And here in the fourth quarter, again, he's putting his footprint on it as he hits the 3-pointer. Now watch him slide in underneath. The block by McKee. Barkley able to hold his position, put it in with the left hand.
Now they just corrected the score. They corrected 102-89. By 13. Perkins giving Barkley room. Now Barkley sees a hole and a reach-in foul.
The problem, Barkley is now looking to drive the ball to the hoop, and Perkins gave him a lane, and no one closed it. He was in too deep, and again, it had been Barkley taking over just when it looked like the Suns were going to struggle. They couldn't get a hoop, and then Barkley found a way to get some scoring. He's got the crowd back in it, and the Sonics are on their heel. Penalty situation, 7:07 left.
Barkley closing in on his 43 in Game 5. That was his playoff high. Now with 38, 15 of those points from the foul line. Gary Payton, he now has 7.
The Sonics have one more surge before they're through, and they've got about 2.5 minutes to make it and get back in this game.
They need some stops. Kevin Johnson, they went right through the legs of Barkley. 6:39 to go, and Phoenix enjoys the 13-point lead. Well, the Seattle SuperSonics hope that pattern holds. They've got 6 minutes, 39 seconds to catch up, down by 13.
Pierce on the block.
Ainge with a foul. The first Sun with 5.
If you're Paul Westphal, you want to see that clock run. Yeah, they can score, but if the clock continues to move, that becomes the enemy. Ricky Pierce got a quick position. Only 2 seconds now. He has a chance to score from the line.
Pierce with only 5 points today. Ricky averaging almost 22 a game in this series.
And he has been huge in all of their wins, and it is a real tough afternoon for him because he can't get any offensive rhythm.
Phoenix lead 11. Suns with their 2 3-point shooters, Ainge and Majerle in, along with Kevin Johnson, the quarterback.
And one of the problems the Sonics have, they got 2 players out there with 5 personal fouls. They can't really be aggressive in trying to shut down the Suns.
Chambers left open on the side. Tom Chambers, the veteran, with 13 big points. Shawn Kemp way outside as Barkley challenges and then goes to collect the rebound. Number 19. Barkley guaranteed to win today, and he certainly played his part. Good ball movement. It's Ainge for the 3. And Barkley, amongst the sea of green, able to come up with a rebound. How does he do it? 20 rebounds, 38 points for Barkley. Chambers. 108-93. And 5 minutes to go.
George Karl's got to come back with Eddie Johnson, but they got to do a better job defensively, and they can't because the Suns have moved the ball before the double team can take effect, and Charles Barkley refuses to let the Sonics get anything. Barkley inside, positioning himself. He sees where the ball is, gets it before anyone else, and then maintains his presence and gets it out when he's on the floor. And then you see Tom Chambers, after they have moved the ball and meet the double team, he has a crowd excited, and they feel that they are right there ready for Chicago.
Charles Barkley, another monster game, and the rookie Oliver Miller. Barkley's tutored him all season long, and Miller with his own adulation, adoration. Shawn Kemp had a good first half, but he scored only 2 points, no rebounds in the second half, strapped with fouls. And Barkley has been on Couldn't call it cruise control because he's breaking the speed limit the way he tears around.
Oh, he's had his foot on the pedal, and he has dominated this ball game. And the Sonics just have not been able to way to contain Charles Barkley. That window of opportunity in 6:45 just blew away, and they are going to have to fight and claw. And you can see whenever you're giving ground defensively, they're just not getting it done.
Barkley leading Phoenix in that front court firepower. Plus 25. 3 on the shot clock. Kevin has to force up a shot, and it doesn't hit the rim, so the buzzer. 24-second violation, but Paul Westphal said that's okay. You're going to miss one, use all 24. And now,
Loose ball on number 8, Eddie Johnson.
foul on Eddie Johnson, his 5th, after the buzzer. Johnson, who has been unhappy with the officiating, but at the same time providing Seattle with its top scoring, as his 5th. Well, you talked about the officiating, and home court advantage really translates to that influence. I mean, we're all human. We all hear the cheers, and usually the home court does get the advantage there.
And what happens in this ball game, in trying to keep the game under control, officials have a tendency to call touch fouls, and that's what happened to the Sonics. The Sonics also compounded it by getting into the penalty way too early. You can't let a good free throwing team and a team that's primarily an offensive juggernaut get cheap points, and that's what they allowed to happen.
4 men for Seattle now with 5, but this free throw by Chambers will extend now an all-time record for free throws by the Suns. This is his 57th, and if he makes it, 50 free throws made. Those are franchise records. 25 years, no Phoenix team has ever been to the line more or made more free throws.
Most of those have come here in the second half.
Kemp inside to jam. 16 for Shawn. Time running out on what has been a marvelous season for the Seattle SuperSonics, reaching the NBA Final Four.
Well, they got 19,000 coaches here in America West Arena that are saying, take your time, don't shoot it early. And Kevin Johnson said, I can make that.
And does. He has 19. Kemp passes up the shot as he rides down, and the calls against Chambers, his 4th. Chambers wondering what he did wrong.
Well, Kemp had missed a couple of perimeter shots before, so he decided to try to get a little bit closer. Chambers thought, he came into me.
Kemp at the line.
This is when the Suns are the most dangerous, and when they get a big lead, they have a tendency to steamroll and just roller coaster, and that's what we've seen since that 6:45 mark when they were within 10 or 12. Well, today the killer instinct may have arrived, and Majerle said they haven't had it, but they have been devastating, led by Charles Barkley.
112-97. Kevin Johnson, veterans on the court with Chambers and Barkley. KJ takes it in. And another foul. And that is Johnson's strength, that lightning quick drive.
Askew again has a problem of giving ground. He doesn't turn him. He lets Kevin take the lane that he wants, and out of it, he gets fouled. The reaction by Paul Westphal, that's the most emotion he's shown in these 7 games.
That's an imposter. That isn't Westphal. Well, that almost is a signal with 3.5 minutes to go, and the Suns now by 18, that Westphal can actually sit back and perhaps enjoy. Askew tipped in by Shawn Kemp, and a foul.
Suns benches. Will Richard Dumas get out of the doghouse? You got 3:20 to go. You're up 15, Paul.
Dumas has not played after starting 4 games of this series. And that's with Cedric Savalas out for the rest of the year. Barkley is in the 40s. Over 40 points and 20 rebounds now. 40 and 20. Payton fouled at the other end.
That's been the story. Barkley has been able to get the ball and do what he wanted, and Shawn Kemp, trying to stay in the game, has had to give him the room to shoot the ball. Barkley, since that first quarter, has just exploded. Dumas saying, "Coach, win."
Dumas, along with Oliver Miller, the two rookies, shaved their heads in respect to Charles Barkley.
He shouldn't have shaved his. Because ever since he shaved his, he's not played well.
117, 101. 2:47 to go. Phoenix with the best record in the NBA. As they close out Seattle, will host Chicago Wednesday night, game 1 of the finals. Chambers. Barkley doesn't get that rebound, then takes it away from McMillan and draws another foul. Oh my! That is why this man is the league's MVP. Just 2 less now than his all-time playoff high scored in Game 5. MVP, they check. Danny Ainge takes it away from Johnson. Johnson with 12 on the clock sends it up. Shawn Kemp with the rebound. That's when Barkley came here. He said, "It's like a baseball lineup. You got 3 great hitters in the middle of the lineup. We all can be good." Eddie Johnson with a bucket. He said, "I came to a team that had 2 all-stars, Marley and Kevin Johnson. Now we got 3 top players." He said, "I've never been in that position in Philadelphia."
They have a lot of depth, and more importantly, they have a lot of different ways to hurt you in scoring. Barkley,
I should say, they didn't have that in Philadelphia in his later years. As a rookie, they did. Right into the hands of Frank Johnson with 1:35 to go, and now it's a matter of just for the Phoenix fans enjoying a great season that will continue. Barkley again, foul on Kemp, and the confrontation of the game's top stars, Kemp and Barkley. Symbolically, Kemp fouls out, and Barkley goes to score more. 43, that ties his Game 5 output, his all-time playoff high, and he perhaps, if he makes this one, it'll be his best scoring game, maybe his best ever playoff game when the Suns needed it most. The man has done it. Dina Barros with his first basket. Countdown in the final minute now for the Suns. Getting his first playing time today. Marley doesn't get it off, but Barkley goes out with that smile of his. As angry as he can be sometimes, he can light up the city with that smile. 44 points. 24 rebounds for Charles Barkley. Just to complete the business, the Suns won in Chicago to split the series. And that was later in the year on March 30th, with Jordan hitting 44 and Barkley 26. Jordan over 40 both games, but both won on the road. Eddie Johnson with a 3, and Eddie Johnson has 34 in defeat today. Beat the Bulls chant, predictably arising out of this crowd of 19,000. SQ uncontested with 14.8 seconds. As for Barkley's thoughts now can concentrate on 2 of his dream teammates, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. The Bulls will be in town Wednesday night. You'll see it live here on NBC. All the games will be live. 2.3 seconds, not quite over.
Eddie Johnson fouls out of the ball game. It hurt him, but he showed a great deal of class. Went down and congratulated all of the Phoenix Suns, and he will take a bench in what was his best game, and unfortunately his worst moment. They lose in Game 7, and you can see a disappointed Eddie Johnson.
Well, he'll be here to watch as a spectator. He lives in Phoenix and has season tickets.
He's not coming home for this.
Knowing Johnson, you know, I think as hurt as he is now, he's such a good guy and a good sport. I love sport. It'll take a while, but I bet we'll see his face in one of those finals games. He went to Westinghouse High School in Chicago. The last shot, and the Phoenix Suns are the champions of the West for only the 2nd time in the history of this franchise. They're in the NBA Finals in quest of their first ever NBA championship.
Charles, you had a monster game. You guaranteed victory. You've had an eventful year, a gold medal, a trade to Phoenix. You had the MVP award and now a trip to the finals. Where does it rank?
Well, all that stuff is great, but I came to Phoenix for one reason, and it wasn't just to get to the finals. The Bulls are a great team, and we know we can beat them. They know they can beat us, so it's going to be a great series.
You just seemed determined not to get beat today. You just picked up the team and carried them on their back. What were your thoughts?
Well, I didn't feel like we were going to lose. I believe we're going to win the World Championship. I believe that all year. I think we got the best team in the world, and I'm glad we're playing Chicago because they're the best, but we feel like we're going to win this thing. We felt like that all year.
You have a message for your dream team teammate Michael Jordan?
Well, he called me yesterday and wished me luck and told me to take the ball to the basket, and I tried to do that. He's my friend, he's my brother, and I love him, but we're going to play a lot of golf this series.
Congratulations.